With a yo-ho-ho, it's TaleOfTheToaster. Welcome to some character bios for the characters that you can add to the Earth 11 halfway through the game, but specifically in Supernova. This is half the characters that you can get in Supernova, while the other half are available in both Supernova and Big Bang. So see that video first to learn how the bios work and also what your other options are to go alongside these players. And if you're playing Big Bang, then just go to the Big Bang video to see what those characters are. Of course, my Let's Play is taking place on Big Bang, so I'll be building my team from those guys, whereas Supernova, you'll mainly see those in my post-game coverage when I probably swap over to Supernova for a couple of videos. So anyone that I'm recommending here won't be in my main Let's Play, but they're there for you to use in your own playthrough, and it's just good to know who's available if that was the one that I was doing. Starting with Tezcat, who, if you are playing Supernova, is a brilliant choice. He's not amazing during the story itself. The reason being, although he's got a fighting spirit, Black Butcher with Executioner's Axe, it's incredibly powerful and it will probably produce some of the highest power numbers you've seen out of anyone that you've got on your team. You can't armorify it. It's not like Bylong, who got the ability to armorify during Chronostones. Tezcat didn't take part in that story, so you cannot armorify it until after you've beaten the game. And because you can't armorify, that means that if you want to use your moves, Black Ash, Eye of the Storm, Sideswipe, etc., you're pretty much only going to be able to use one of those moves per match, because everything Tezcat has costs at least 70 TP, and his total TP stat is only 155 when he's at level 99. So therefore, if you were at, say, level 90, it's probably going to be like 145 or something like that. Basically, you need at least 140 TP to use two moves in one match, and that's not counting Zero Magnum. So until you get the ability to armorify or hit level 99, Tezcat is going to be a single move use character throughout the main story. So he's not that brilliant during the main story, aside from the fact you can use his spirit normally for extremely powerful shots. But when he hits the post-game, spend a little bit of money, give him the ability to armorify, and he's insane. His kick stat is 173, and he's got a dribble stat of 133, which is higher than some of the actual midfielders, like Big Bang exclusives Dave Quagmire and Tory Vanguard. And then he complements this with Eye of the Storm, one of the best dribbling moves in the game. He even has the single strongest blocking move in the whole game, tied with a few others of course, but with Sideswipe being 200 power and Void type, meaning that it has no type disadvantages, it might actually just be the best block in the whole game. Black Ash, meanwhile, is one of the most stylish, it's one of my favourite moves in the whole series, and Zero Magnum is unbelievably good. It's 190 power, the highest power possible is 200, but it is a shot block, which in Go Galaxy is insane. I've kind of gone over it in both the Big Bang and Supernova joint video and the Big Bang exclusives, but just in case this is the one that you're seeing first, basically, shot blocks in Go Galaxy are incredible, because if I was trying to stop a move with 300 power that was flying at me, for example, I could stop that with Zero Magnum, keep the 300 power of the previous shot, don't lose any of that. Even though you are stopping a shot and reversing its trajectory, that 300 power is yours now, and you then get to long shot the ball all the way up across the pitch with the normal power of Zero Magnum anyway, which is 190, and then you can shot chain it with anyone that's in front of you as well. Shot blocking is the way to get the highest power stats in the whole game outside of maybe only Grand Plan, and it comes in a disadvantaged state. When the opponent is firing a long shot at you, that's supposed to be you in danger, but if you put Tezcat in defense, where he's got Sideswipe, one of the best block defensive moves anyway, and he's got Zero Magnum, where any long shot fired towards him suddenly becomes your shot and the strongest shot on your whole team. Yeah, he works really well there. Or you can just use him as a forward anyway. But not only is that something that benefits him, but also specifically post-game stuff. You can give him a Best Miximax with Arian Sherwind. You've already got Arian Sherwind, but when you do that, it gives you the skill Forever Armoured, which means that your Armify will last even longer. And it gives you a really nice cool model, and you can take another move from Arian Sherwind as well. He also has the option of Miximaxing with Bylong, but in theory, if you're using Tezcat, you're probably playing Supernova, and Bylong is the single hardest recruit to get in the whole game. So don't worry about that one, just Miximax him with Arian. But yeah, so short version, Tezcat is good during the main story, not brilliant, but as soon as you're done with the story, he's incredible. But if Tezcat was the equivalent to Bylong in Go 1, then Sol Daystar is the equivalent to Bylong in Chrono Stones. We had him in Wildfire. Supernova basically carries on a trend of anyone that was exclusive in Wildfire is now exclusive to Supernova, with the exception of Desmodus Drakul and Wolfram Vulpine, which they randomly swapped, probably because they didn't want you to have Vulpine and Sol Daystar on the same team because they're already quite similar. For example, Sol Daystar starts with Atomic Flare, which is also a shot block. So for the same reason to Zero Magnum, this 160 power shot is really good, while Solar Nexus, which he gets at level 42, is the same power, but it can be used as a shot chain instead. So Sol Daystar, very, very versatile already. He's even got Go Long, which means that his shots lose less power over time. That benefits Atomic Flare, because you'll be often doing that from the back of the pitch as a shot block, or even Solar Nexus as a shot chain from the middle of the pitch. They will be losing power less over time, so that's really good. And to finish the pile, Plasma Cut is a really good dribble, and Solar Flare is an excellent shot with his fighting spirit. If you want to put some work in the post-game, you can also Miximax him with Chuga Liang to get access to Thunder Taker for that sweet, sweet stun on the goalkeepers. And you can, of course, Armify Sol Daystar during the main story. He is clearly extremely good. He's a jack of all trades. His block's 123, dribbles 142, and kick is 159. That is not the highest in the game. Sol Daystar's kick is basically really good, but it feels less good than it actually is, just because he's regularly compared to the likes of Bylong and Tezcat, and because he has such an incredible moveset and the ability to Armify right out of the gate. Yeah, you're basically comparing his kick stat to other characters that can do that, where he's suddenly a bit behind the pack. But overall, let's not sleep on it. 159 is still really good. And Sol isn't really a forward. Like, he was. But Chrono Stones had a very specific purpose for him. He needed to be a midfielder for that story, and that is very much still the case here. With 142 on dribble, and the ability to Armify and use it even more. Yeah, Sol Daystar works excellently as a midfielder with the ability to shot chain or shot block. And if you want to use him as a proper forward, then you can do that as well. I really, really recommend you do pick this guy up. Njord Snio is like Tezcat in that you can bring out a spirit with him, but you can't actually Armify it. It's one of the many Resistance National reps that we can get here. Not all of the Resistance National players are actually within these bios, like for example Kirk from Milky Way. He won't be available until the post game, but Njord Snio, definitely one of your options. Icicle Road is fantastic. He gets Snowstorm Leopard off the gate as a shot chain. That's a brilliant beginning for Njord Snio. He's even got another really good shot at the end of it. What's Black Dawn? I've never heard of that one. But key things to know, I've put his recruitment down as easy, but he does actually have 2 different items from various matches to get. One of them's just in the Raimon parking lot, but he's kind of borderline takes time, but not quite. But above all, 162 kick, just a really fun character that a lot of you won't have had the opportunity to use before, because he's not available until the post game of Go Light and Shadow, or Chrono Stones, Thunder Flash and Wildfire. I definitely picked this guy for my team in Supernova, and he ended up being my most used player on that team. The next Supernova exclusive is Dodge, and I have to say, I do think it's weird that they made him Supernova exclusive. Yes, he plays for Lunacy Military Academy now, but he still feels like a Raimon player at heart, and he's also been a really expertly balanced character for using during the story, because he's got low cost, not so great but still useful moves like Sonic Shot and the Long Shot Plasma Ball at level 1 and level 15. Then at level 24 he gets another Long Shot Legendary Wolf, which is stronger but still affordable, and then his final move is a really good dribble in the form of Black Tide Ride. And at level 38 that's still not very high. The guy is basically built for you to use during the main story. He doesn't have a spirit or anything like that, so he's not really that memorable in the post-game stuff. With a kickstat of 144, he's not a brilliant forward, but the guy is basically just designed for you to use right now. So I think it's a shame that he is Supernova exclusive. I think he should have been mixed among the Raimon players to let you use him in either of them. But if you are playing Supernova, you know, he's not going to leave the team this time. He's got a bit of focus through Resistance National. He's not a creep, he's not a weirdo, he's just a very decent, I'm not going to say very good, but a decent all-rounder who is fun to use, and I think we all like his design. But now we have a true no-brainer if what you want is good players. Simeon Ayp, the main villain of Chrono Stones, has now decided, I might help you save the world, actually. He's just popped back from 200 years in the future to join the Earth 11. Well, cheers. And he really will help you a lot in doing that, because you can bring out Ivera, Mortal Smash is the joint strongest spirit shot in the game, you can armorify him right away, so the fact that his moves are really expensive doesn't matter too much because you can just armorify before using them. And even his Monkey Man Miximax form is still quite readily available in the post-game. We don't at this stage know what the terrible shadows are. I'll explain them when we actually encounter them, but they're not too hard to get a hold of in the post-game, and then you'll have access to full Monkey Man mode should you want it. Shell Burst, meanwhile, means you get a 160 power long shot immediately, and yeah, with his TP being 147, that's probably all he will do during the match until you armorify him. But he's also got Decoy Deploy as a really good Void type dribble. Eye of the Storm unfortunately serves no real purpose on him, because it's exactly the same TP, exactly the same power, just it's Wood type instead of Void type. That's the only difference. I think they basically gave him it because he uses Eye of the Storm during a cutscene in Chrono Stones, and then they realised, oh, but it's not actually in his moveset. So now he's got it, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose. It would have been amazing if we could have had Particle Accelerator here, but hey, one redundant move is still a very good move. And then to close it off, Triple Threat is his other shot, which is now even stronger than Shell Burst. They've buffed it a lot since the previous game. It's known as Evolution in Japanese, if you don't know what Triple Threat is. But a 190 power shot that's also a shot chain that you can use while armorified? Yeah, I'll take that. Surprisingly, he's easier to recruit in the post-game than some characters like Erik Eagle and Austin Hobbs. He's not quite as bad as you would think, but he does still take some time, so he's very much worth picking up, especially when you consider that his kickstat of 170 is just one of the best out of all of these bios that we've looked at, and he backs it up with really good dribble, block, even technique along the way. Simeon Ayp, it's not a question of whether he's good, it's just a question of whether you want one of the most heinous villains in Inazuma 11 history on your team while you're trying to save the world. I mean, it's fine, they forgive him for starting a war, so he's okay now. Speaking of, do you want a heinous villain on your team because they're really good, we have Desmodus Drakul, who has a dribble stat of 196. That is not just the highest dribble stat that we'll be seeing today, it's the highest stat that we'll be seeing in any of these character bios. That stat is the whole reason that template on the left-hand side goes up to 200. His dribble is absurd, and he has Heaven's Time to do it with. And Demon's Bolt on his fighting spirit as well. If you want this guy to dribble the ball up the pitch, he will do it. Just ask. And because he's not trying to be a villain or a bad guy, he will do that for you, and you can armorify him as well. But he's also really, really good as a forward as well. Like, he is a midfielder because dribble is his best stat, and he is the best dribbler possibly in the series. But 159 on kick, that's equal to Soul Daystar, who's meant to be an actual forward, and he has both Bloodsucker Bite and Nocturne, which are 180 power. Bloodsucker Bite he gets at level 11, while Nocturne previously used to be a wind type move. It's now void type, so that it's not got any type advantages or disadvantages. They're as strong as each other, but they've both got those little type uses here and there. Bloodsucker Bite is technically stronger because it's got same type attack bonus, but then Nocturne is less of a risk in terms of guessing what the goalkeeper's going to do. Holy Roller, he's also stolen from Arian. Arian doesn't actually have it in this game, so you have to use Drakul if you want to see it again. It's not completely pointless, because when all of his shots are 85 TP, sometimes Holy Roller is all you'll be able to afford. When you've got the guy at level 99, he's got a TP of 152, so you can't do 2 Nocturnes or 2 Bloodsucker Bites, but you can do 1 Nocturne and 1 Holy Roller, or 1 Bloodsucker Bite and 1 Holy Roller. Just like Simeon, we can get access to his perfect Mixie-Max in the post-game without too much difficulty. He's not quite as hard to recruit as you might expect, but again, it just helps to have him. If you know that you're going to need to rely on players like this in the post-game, then you might as well get them straight away. It ultimately just comes down to, am I playing the game to use my favourite characters for the main story and then mainly just stop? Or am I dedicated enough to actually sink some time into the post-game, really extinguish this game for everything it's got, and realise I'm probably going to need the help of this hyper-evolved villain guy? If you fall into the latter, then Desmodus Drakul is really hard to pass up. Someone who's unfortunately very easy to pass up, and I hate to do it to him, but it's Kevin Dragonfly. I want to recommend him to anyone who likes him, and again, this game is entirely beatable. You know, when I play Pokemon, I don't use good Pokemon, I use whatever I want just to have fun, and you can use Kevin to have fun, but you won't be using him to be a useful forward. As you would expect from an OG character, he has no fighting spirit, no best Mixie-Maxes, but he could have had decent stats. 149 on his kick is not great. Again, I refer back to Soul Daystar, who's got a kick stat of 159, and even that is not really good enough for the post-game stuff. Soul, again, I mainly use as a midfielder. Kevin, his only good stat is kick. Everything else blows. And he needs those stats, especially when he's only got 200 freedom, so you can't even build upon them that much. The most you can do is just give him a reasonable kick stat and he won't be able to do anything else. But even his moves are not brilliant. He gets Dragon Crash, which I'm really glad that they re-added to Go Galaxy. It wasn't in the previous 2 games, but it's there as a low-cost option for him to use right away. He's also got Tail of the Dragon, which is weaker. It used to be 110 power, and much as I like it because the name reminds me of myself, yeah, they nerfed it down to 60 power, so it's even weaker than Dragon Crash. Rising Dragon is a good dribbling move. Calling back to the days of Kevin having Zigzag Spark in Inazuma 11 1, he's finally got a good dribble again. Just a shame he's only got 83 dribble to use it with. And then finally, Brimstone Rain is a powerful shot, but it's a shadow of its former self. He's lost his perfect Mixie-Max with Roma. He's got nothing exemplary, and even his TP is 124. Like, he could have... People don't even pay attention to those stats, but even there they decided to screw him over. Kevin sucks, and it's so sad. But maybe that's a reason in and of itself to use him. Maybe you want to intentionally use a bad character because you like him. If that's how you want to do it, there's Kevin. Erik Eagle, meanwhile, is randomly a lot better. Kickstat of 126 is good enough for an actual midfielder. You definitely won't be taking this guy down to take the shots. He is there to dribble, but he does have Ball Lightning, one of the better dribbles in the game, at level 55. It's just a shame that his first dribbling move, Illusion Ball, he only gets that at level 24, so until level 24, he doesn't actually have any moves at all. He does have the skill Economy, which cuts down his TP usage, which is a nice thing to have, but his moves aren't actually that expensive anyway, apart from Ball Lightning. But if you're sticking to the recommended levels of the game, you're probably around about level 20 or 19 right now, maybe 21 after beating Stormwolves. So when you get the guy, he might not actually have any moves. He'll get them soon enough. But right away, Erik Eagle actually opens as a bit of a blank slate. But Triangle Double Z is a fun one to have as a shot, and he's a good all-rounder. His 3 main stats are above 100, even if they're not by a big way. But the main thing you need to know about Erik Eagle is his recruitment difficulty is jacked up. Outside of the 2 Big Bang characters, Bylong and Quentin Cinquedea, who got the impossible status, Erik Eagle might actually be the hardest character to get if you don't pick him up right now. Out of all the characters that we've covered in these bios, clearly Bylong and Quentin Cinquedea are the hardest, but Erik Eagle is genuinely the next in line. If you don't get him right now, you won't have him for a long time, because all 4 of the 4, he's not a brilliant forward, but the guy is basically just designed for you to use right now. So I think it's a shame that he is Supernova exclusive. I think he should have been mixed among the Raimon players to let you use him in either of them. But if you are playing Supernova, you know, he's not going to leave the team this time. He's got a bit of focus through Resistance National. He's not a creep, he's not a weirdo, he's just a very decent, I'm not going to say very good, but a decent all-rounder who is fun to use, and I think we all like his design. But now we have a true no-brainer if what you want is good players. Simeon Ayp, the main villain of Chronostones, has now decided, I might help you save the world, actually. He's just popped back from 200 years in the future to join the Earth 11. Well, cheers. And he really will help you a lot in doing that, because you can bring out Ivera. Mortal Smash is the joint strongest spirit shot in the game. You can armorify him right away, so the fact that his moves are really expensive doesn't matter too much, because you can just armorify before using them. And even his Monkey Man Miximax form is still quite readily available in the post-game. We don't at this stage know what the terrible shadows are. I'll explain them when we actually encounter them, but they're not too hard to get a hold of in the post-game, and then you'll have access to full Monkey Man mode should you want it. Shell Burst, meanwhile, means you get a 160 power long shot immediately, and yeah, with his TP being 147, that's probably all he will do during the match until you armorify him. But he's also got Decoy Deploy as a really good Void type dribble. Eye of the Storm unfortunately serves no real purpose on him, because it's exactly the same TP, exactly the same power, just it's Wood type instead of Void type. That's the only difference. I think they basically gave him it because he uses Eye of the Storm during a cutscene in Chronostones, and then they realised, oh, but it's not actually in his moveset. So now he's got it, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose. It would have been amazing if we could have had Particle Accelerator here, but hey, one redundant move is still a very good move. And then to close it off, Triple Threat is his other shot, which is now even stronger than Shell Burst. They've buffed it a lot since the previous game. It's known as Evolution in Japanese, if you don't know what Triple Threat is. But a 190 power shot that's also a shot chain that you can use while armorified? Yeah, I'll take that. Surprisingly, he's easier to recruit in the post-game than some characters like Erik Eagle and Austin Hobbs. He's not quite as bad as you would think, but he does still take some time, so he's very much worth picking up, especially when you consider that his kickstat of 170 is just one of the best out of all of these bios that we've looked at, and he backs it up with really good dribble, block, even technique along the way. Simeon Ayp, it's not a question of whether he's good, it's just a question of whether you want one of the most heinous villains in Inazuma 11 history on your team while you're trying to save the world. I mean, it's fine. They forgive him for starting a war, so he's okay now. Speaking of, do you want a heinous villain on your team because they're really good, we have Desmodus Drakul, who has a dribble stat of 196. That is not just the highest dribble stat that we'll be seeing today, it's the highest stat that we'll be seeing in any of these character bios. That stat is the whole reason that template on the left-hand side goes up to 200. His dribble is absurd, and he has Heaven's Time to do it with. And Demon's Bolt on his fighting spirit as well. If you want this guy to dribble the ball up the pitch, he will do it. Just ask. And because he's not trying to be a villain or a bad guy, he will do that for you. And you can armorify him as well. But he's also really, really good as a forward as well. Like, he is a midfielder because dribble is his best stat, and he is the best dribbler possibly in the series. But 159 on kick, that's equal to Soul Daystar, who's meant to be an actual forward, and he has both Bloodsucker Bite and Nocturne, which are 180 power. Bloodsucker Bite he gets at level 11, while Nocturne previously used to be a wind type move. It's now void type, so that it's not got any type advantages or disadvantages. They're as strong as each other, but they've both got those little type uses here and there. Bloodsucker Bite is technically stronger because it's got same type attack bonus, but then Nocturne is less of a risk in terms of guessing what the goalkeeper's going to do. Holy Roller, he's also stolen from Arian. Arian doesn't actually have it in this game, so you have to use Drakul if you want to see it again. It's not completely pointless, because when all of his shots are 85 TP, sometimes Holy Roller is all you'll be able to afford. When you've got the guy at level 99, he's got a TP of 152, so you can't do 2 Nocturnes or 2 Bloodsucker Bites, but you can do 1 Nocturne and 1 Holy Roller, or 1 Bloodsucker Bite and 1 Holy Roller. Just like Simeon, we can get access to his perfect Miximax in the post-game without too much difficulty. He's not quite as hard to recruit as you might expect, but again, it just helps to have him. If you know that you're going to need to rely on players like this in the post-game, then you might as well get them straight away. It ultimately just comes down to, am I playing the game to use my favourite characters for the main story and then mainly just stop? Or am I dedicated enough to actually sink some time into the post-game, really extinguish this game for everything it's got, and realise I'm probably going to need the help of this hyper-evolved villain guy? If you fall into the latter, then Desmodus Drakul is really hard to pass up. Someone who's unfortunately very easy to pass up, and I hate to do it to him, but it's Kevin Dragonfly. I want to recommend him to anyone who likes him, and again, this game is entirely beatable. You know, when I play Pokemon, I don't use good Pokemon, I use whatever I want just to have fun, and you can use Kevin to have fun, but you won't be using him to be a useful forward. As you would expect from an OG character, he has no fighting spirit, no best Miximaxes, but he could have had decent stats. 149 on his kick is not great. Again, I refer back to Soul Daystar, who's got a kick stat of 159, and even that is not really good enough for the post-game stuff. Soul, again, I mainly use as a midfielder. Kevin, his only good stat is kick. Everything else blows. And he needs those stats, especially when he's only got 200 freedom, so you can't even build upon them that much. The most you can do is just give him a reasonable kick stat and he won't be able to do anything else. But even his moves are not brilliant. He gets Dragon Crash, which I'm really glad that they re-added to Go Galaxy. It wasn't in the previous 2 games, but it's there as a low-cost option for him to use right away. He's also got Tail of the Dragon, which is weaker. It used to be 110 power, and much as I like it because the name reminds me of myself, yeah, they nerfed it down to 60 power, so it's even weaker than Dragon Crash. Rising Dragon is a good dribbling move. calling back to the days of Kevin having Zigzag Spark in Inazuma 11-1, he's finally got a good dribble again. Just a shame he's only got 83 dribble to use it with. And then finally, Brimstone Rain is a powerful shot, but it's a shadow of its former self. He's lost his perfect Miximax with Roma, he's got nothing exemplary, and even his TP is 124. Like, he could have... People don't even pay attention to those stats, but even there they decided to screw him over. Kevin sucks, and it's so sad. But maybe that's a reason in and of itself to use him. Maybe you want to intentionally use a bad character because you like him. If that's how you want to do it, there's Kevin. Erik Eagle, meanwhile, is randomly a lot better. Kickstat of 126 is good enough for an actual midfielder. You definitely won't be taking this guy down to take the shots. He is there to dribble, but he does have Ball Lightning, one of the better dribbles in the game, at level 55. It's just a shame that his first dribbling move, Illusion Ball, he only gets that at level 24, so until level 24, he doesn't actually have any moves at all. He does have the skill Economy, which cuts down his TP usage, which is a nice thing to have, but his moves aren't actually that expensive anyway, apart from Ball Lightning. But if you're sticking to the recommended levels of the game, you're probably around about level 20 or 19 right now, maybe 21 after beating Stormwolves. So when you get the guy, he might not actually have any moves. He'll get them soon enough. But right away, Erik Eagle actually opens as a bit of a blank slate. But Triangle Double Z is a fun one to have as a shot, and he's a good all-rounder. His 3 main stats are above 100, even if they're not by a big way. But the main thing you need to know about Erik Eagle is his recruitment difficulty is jacked up. Outside of the 2 Big Bang characters, Bylong and Quentin Cinquedea, who got the impossible status, Erik Eagle might actually be the hardest character to get if you don't pick him up right now. Out of all the characters that we've covered in these bios, clearly Bylong and Quentin Cinquedea are the hardest, but Erik Eagle is genuinely the next in line. If you don't get him right now, you won't have him for a long time, because all 4 of his recruitment conditions are item drops from competition routes. You know, some characters become quite difficult because they've got 1 item drop in a rare competition route. Some of them have 2. But Erik Eagle, 4 out of 4 are competition route rare item drops. He's really, really hard to get. So if you even remotely like Erik Eagle, just get him so that you don't regret it later. This is by far the easiest chance you're going to get to recruit the guy, and he's certainly not bad. He's definitely fun, with a lot of moves that you probably wouldn't see otherwise. I think Ball Lightning is one of the rarest moves in the whole series, while Triangle Double Z is just funny. He's fun, I use him in my Supernova, and he's not like amazing, but I'm glad that I have him. But Darren LaChance might be even worse on those grounds. He needs 3 competition route drops for his recruitment, and he has the same you must have at least 25 special tactics condition that the likes of Austin also have. Even ahead of Erik Eagle, Darren might actually be the 3rd most difficult recruit after Bylong and Quentin Cinquedea. It is nuts, not gonna lie. But is he worth it? No, not really. Unfortunately, Darren is one of the weaker goalkeeper options available. His catch stat, it depends how you look at it. His actual stat is 157, which would only put him ahead of Joseph King and Sam in terms of the strongest goalkeeper rankings. Technically, his catch stat is actually 177, because when he hits level 38, he gets Catch Boost Plus, which increases the stat by 20. But the thing is, although that now puts him ahead of all the other goalkeeper options, 177 is higher than Mark Evans, it's higher than Quentin Cinquedea, it's considerably higher than Terry. But the thing is, You're going to get a Catch Boost Plus move manual at some point. You'll probably get a Catch Boost Ultra move manual at some point, which increases the catch stat by 30. And who would you use that on other than your goalkeeper? And again, when you're using a goalkeeper, really you only need one move. They need the best possible catching option for them, or the best possible punching option, and then you can just load them up on skills. Darren does have a good one in the form of Wood Boost, and it's nice that he comes with Catch Boost Plus, but whichever goalkeeper you pick for your team, you're gonna want to give your goalkeeper some kind of catch boost skill at some point anyway, so Darren having technically the highest catch stat out of everyone is a complete lie, just ignore that. The main problem with Darren is his moveset. Even Sam, who has the lowest catch stat out of all the available goalkeepers, at least comes with God Hand X. Even Joseph King has Shot Stopper in combination with Mean Right Hook, but Darren only has one move until level 58, and it's God Hand, which is 40 power. If you wish to use Darren during the story, he will only have God Hand. Random scouts that you can recruit in the Raimon parking lot are better than this. Darren is useless during the story, and even when you do get him to level 58, Mugen the Hand is 160 power, which is decent, but it's not a 200 power option, and the main problem is that it's wood type, when most of the best strikers in the game are fire element, so Darren will pretty much always be at a disadvantage anyway. Not strictly true all the time, but that is the only thing he's got. You'd want to give him something else, and yeah, he's only really worth recommending on the grounds that he's really hard to recruit otherwise. I don't recommend using him as your actual goalkeeper unless you're trying to do some kind of challenge run, and then again, you'd probably just use some random scout from the parking lot for that anyway. Xavier Foster's actually quite hard to recruit. He needs 2 different competition route drops, and one of them's the Magnificent Trophy. But when you see characters like Darren LaChance's requirements in the hard category, yeah, I still have to put him down as takes time. But Xavier is still a bit of a challenge if you don't pick him up right now. With that said though, I think Xavier is really interesting and fun to use. He's far from the best. You know, back in the Inazuma 11 3 days, he really was a contender for just the best forward that you can have. Nowadays, his kick stat is 152. That's lower than the Soul Daystar benchmark, and with 200 freedom, you can't really pour that much more into it. He's unfortunately just a bit outdated as an option now. This former supervillain of the second game is now just alright. However, he has the potential to be better than you expect. Now, something I wanted to do when I got Xavier on my team in Supernova was actually turn him into a defender. I gave him Asterox that I got in a move manual, and then I soon realised, wait, I was only doing this to reference the story of Inazuma 11 Orion, but I quickly realised he works very well here. His block stat is 112, which is, you know, above average, and then you can use the Dark Room to boost it up more. But if you're familiar with the concept of reverse positioning, that basically means anyone who plays a certain position can be trained to be the best at the opposite one. So forwards, you can drain them of their kick stat and make them really good at blocking. Midfielders, you can drain them of their dribble and make them really good at catching instead. And then everything works in reverse. Goalkeepers can become good at midfielding, and defenders can become really good at shooting. That's why Goldie Lemon, if you reverse position her, take away her insane block stat and pour it into kick, then all of a sudden her Fire Tornado Triple Crusher becomes incredible. Xavier, I kind of like to do that. He's not like an optimal choice because his kick's only 152, it's not amazing, and then 112 on block. It's got somewhere to go, but 200 freedom doesn't let you do that much. But considering Xavier is someone who's canonically played in every position in Inazuma 11 history other than the goalkeeper, it's fun to actually put him wherever you want to put him. Especially because he has this one little trick up his sleeve which makes him really, really good in the defensive position. Granted, it relies on you keeping your kick stat, but the guy gets Chrysanthemum Katana at level 57, and that is a 190 power shot block. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, shot blocks are unbelievably good in Galaxy. I put my Xavier in the centre of the defence. He is my key defender. He just uses Asterox if he wants to block someone, but if any long shot is fired at my Xavier, he will return it with Chrysanthemum Katana, and it will probably become the strongest shot I've unleashed in the whole match. And you don't even need to wait until level 57 to do it, because he's got Meteor Blade at level 3, which itself is already a shot block, and at 130 power it's plenty good enough for the main story as well. On top of this, he has the skill Go Long, which means that anything he's done as a long shot or a shot block from far away will lose power less over time. The whole balancing mechanic of long shots and the like is that they get weaker the further they have to go, but the skill Go Long lessens that nerf. So his Chrysanthemum Katana that I'm doing from the goal line is already one of the strongest shots in the game, and it doesn't even lose as much power as most shot blocks would. Maybe this is just me and my particularly unique scenario, but I love Defender Xavier. Inazuma 11 Orion was onto something after all. And hey, if you want to use him as a normal forward, be my guest, he's still a pretty good pick. Oh, hello there, it's Jordan Greenway, my favourite character in the Inazuma 11 series. Well, it would make sense for me to use my favourite character in a Let's Play of an Inazuma 11 game, except Jordan Greenway is exclusive to Supernova. And I am Let's Playing Big Bang. This is like choosing between children. I'm not even beginning the bio here. I had to choose between Let's Playing the game that would have Bylong on it and Let's Playing the game that would have Jordan on it. And I had to choose the one that didn't have Jordan on it because I really needed Bylong, and yeah, like my Go Let's Plays are more recent than my original trilogy ones, so I wanted to keep the Bylong hype going. It was quite unexpected that I then had the whole leading the Jordan campaign in the Inazuma Perfect Picks campaign and making a top 100 Inazuma 11 characters where I definitively called Jordan my favourite when, at the time of picking Big Bang, I hadn't actually decided between him and Bylong. But yes, I cannot use Jordan in my Let's Play, but maybe he'll be in the post-game coverage. But to talk about Jordan as an actual option, 144 dribble is good, 128 kick is okay. His moveset is actually pretty good. He's got Astro Break at level 1, so that's a nice weak but canonically appropriate move for him to start with. Then, to actually become a midfielder rather than a striker, he borrows Zed-Zag from Arion, one of the only times that these original trilogy characters have actually been given one of the brand new moves for Galaxy. But when he's at level 40, he actually cheekily borrows Atomic Spin from Gamma from Protocol Omega. This is 160 power and it's a long shot, so that's actually a really useful thing to have on Jordan. But that's not the end of it either, because at the end of the day he is a midfielder and they decided to give him his anime move, Lightning Sprint. He'll never have Astro Gate again, that was only in Inazuma 11-3. But I'm really glad that they decided to bring back Lightning Sprint from the previous trilogy so that Jordan could have it, and they made it really good. 170 power, Jordan's moveset, I think they did it. His third best shot. Edgar Partinus gets Illusion Ball at level 45. I can't stress enough how funny it is that until level 64, this guy only has Fortissimo Foot and Illusion Ball. His kick stat's pretty high. He's not got anything else to write home about. To say that he's for the purists would be underselling it quite a bit. But we've made it to the final Supernova exclusive character, and what the heck happened here? Bash Lancer is incredible! His kick stat is 188. That is higher than Bylong, higher than Victor, and equal with Wolfram Vulpine, who's exclusive to Big Bang anyway. That means that if you're playing Supernova, Bash Lancer is potentially the highest kick stat that you have access to, and his moveset completely complements that. Dimensional Deluge is a move that Bash Lancer took from the Desperado's Aster guy. It used to be 150 power in Chrono Stones, it's 190 power now, and it's a shot block. This is equal to Xavier's Chrysanthemum Katana as just the best shot blocking option in the game, and when you have 188 kick driving your Dimensional Deluge shot block, Bash Lancer makes numbers. This guy is off the charts. His dribble stat looks measly in comparison to its kick, until you realise it's 126. Like, that's really good. He's even got a dribbling move. But he's also got a long shot. Doom Spear is his actual move that he's always canonically had, and yeah, it's not the strongest at 100 power, but it's at least affordable for the early game. Like, Bash Lancer is designed to be one of those insane post-game characters, but he's also good during the main story as well. The only thing he doesn't have is a spirit, but as a long shooter with a dribble, I'll take him for the time being. And then Dimensional Deluge at the end, oh my word, this guy's insane. And I didn't pick him for my Supernova team, and I made a very grave error in making that decision. But that is it for the bios on every character who's exclusive to Supernova. If you need to see the Big Bang exclusives, go to that video. If you need to see the characters who are both in Big Bang and Supernova, again go to that. Or just carry on with the Let's Play to see which characters I picked for my playthrough, and then continue the series as normal. Obviously, it won't be any of these Supernova players, but you will get to meet my Supernova team eventually in some of the post-game coverage. I just wish that Bash Lancer was on it. See you in another video.